Sometimes a museum can be more than just a museum, but a window into the past. The National September 11th Memorial Museum is a space for reflection, reverence, and for rediscovery.
I think that the mission of the 9/11 Museum is to really center the fact that the story of September 11th is truly a story about people.
It can be easy to forget that there now exists an entire generation of adults that were not yet alive during the terrorist attacks of September 11th, 2001.
It's something that they learned about from parents or teachers or in school. I think it helps them really realize the true scope of the event.
A scope which can be felt in the vast dugout caverns surrounding the footprints of the original Twin Towers. It's here that visitors can see the slurry wall, which following the collapse of the Twin Towers held back the immense underground water pressure of the Hudson River, preventing Ground Zero and New York's subway system from flooding, saving countless lives. Today, it serves as a symbol of strength and resiliency following tragedy. It's a strength reflected by the last column of the World Trade Center, which survived the attacks and was found still rooted in its bedrock. This single column was the last piece of debris removed from Ground Zero after the attacks. It became a physical touchstone to remember those who died and to ensure their memories live on for future generations.
Because 9/11 happened to people. Yes, it destroyed buildings and it attacked the United States, but behind that there's people all around the world and there's people at the center of this story. And I think telling their stories is the most important thing, and that's what we're able to do here at the Memorial and Museum.
Stories of people like the 11 firefighters in Ladder Company 3, who, like so many first responders on 9/11, ran toward danger rather than from it, trying to help as many people as they could get out of the North Tower. The last anyone heard from Ladder Company 3 that day was a radio call from their captain, Patty Brown.
Apparently, it's above the 75th floor. I don't know if they got there yet, okay?
Okay.
It's a 3 truck, and we're still heading up, all right?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is 3 truck, and we're still headed up. Their work wasn't done at the 35th floor of the building.
Forged in steel recovered from the World Trade Center, Virgil's quote, "No day shall erase you from the memory of time," greets visitors in Memorial Hall. 2,983 blue squares paid tribute to all of those who lost their lives on September 11th and the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. Each square a different shade of blue, painted to reflect the color of the sky on September 11th.
And I think what makes that piece very impactful for visitors is it's not only remembering the victims of the 9/11 attacks or the 1993 bombing and their individuality, the fact that they were all individual people with their own stories, but also the fact that it comments on who does the remembering.
Behind the wall lies a sacred space, a repository for the unclaimed or unidentified remains of 9/11 victims.
Because it's the very sad truth that due to the nature of the attacks, there's about 40% of victims who have yet to be physically identified, which means 40% of victims' families have yet to receive physical remains of their loved ones. But it also goes to show us the ongoing nature of this story, because there is still work being done, because as DNA identification and forensic technology advances, discoveries can be made on these remains, and individuals are identified even as recently as about a year ago.
Above ground, 2 memorial pools sit inside the footprints of the original Twin Towers, the largest man-made waterfalls in North America. Engraved along the pool's edges are the names of the lives lost on September 11th, as well as the 1993 World Trade Center bombing.
So up on the Memorial Plaza, you might not know right away, but you see friendships, other family members, co-workers, all listed together on the memorial. So you can really see how these people lived, not only learn about how they were killed.
Today, the National September 11th Memorial Museum is as much about educating a new generation of Americans as it is about paying tribute to the lives we've lost.
And I think that's also a beautiful thing, that as we move through time, what we talk about and what we highlight changes, but at the center, remembering the victims and the survivors of the event is still at the forefront.
I would say that it's something that is maybe hard to see, but that you absolutely need to see it so that you truly understand what happened, what people went through, and what a big deal it is, so that you don't forget.
In New York, for Newsmax, I'm Mike Carter.